Hey, I'm Micah Mullen. Welcome to another free art lesson. Today we're going to be using Turner Acrylic Gouache to paint on aluminum sheet metal. And the reason I like to do this is because the metallic qualities of the metal play into the composition as a whole. What this is going to represent is a cityscape, and of course with any buildings you have a lot of metal, a lot of steel, so forth, and we're going to use the actual surface of the metal to reflect that. Later I'll show you in landscapes how this can be used in rocks and different elements in nature. So earlier what I did was mask off a bunch of shapes here that represent buildings and windows and such. I'll do this last one really quickly, just basically get out an X-Acto knife and just cut some shapes that you believe might represent what a building might look like. Windows and doors, all that stuff. Okay, now what we're going to do is cover the unmasked areas. We're going to reserve this. We would come back to that and maybe paint that as a skyline or something later. We won't do that today, but we'll paint the contours of the buildings and the windows and such. And I've laid out a lot of Turner Acrylic jet black paint, and I'll just basically cover this whole metal area. Earlier I also put a primer, a metal primer down, which is made by Turner, that works very well. Sometimes the tape does lift off the primer, but even so the gouache works okay even without the primer, so I don't worry too much about that. It does provide a little bit better adhesion with the primer on, but it works without it as well. Okay. And in a minute we'll just add some subtleties of color, maybe sunlight, whatever. We have some lemon yellow here. Maybe we'll dab that in certain places. Maybe a little white. Just to give it some effects of what reflections in windows or whatever. Okay. So now we'll lift the tape up. And you can see it is peeling off some of the primer, but that's okay. Knife back out. Okay. Normally I would have made more of an outline, I guess, but it's all right. The important thing is, what I'm trying to demonstrate is at least that the metal qualities is in a subject like this, or the intention like this, is almost as important as the paint itself, because the metal reflects, you know, part of the building, so forth. Normally I had intended that these would be outlined the buildings. That didn't quite work out as I hoped, but you get the idea of what metal works within a city skyline. In my DVD I painted different rocks, and in this case the rocks are the exposed metal, and in a landscape scene you can see this works as well. So it's cool effects to do with metal and unlikely surfaces. So I'm Micah Mullen. Thanks for stopping by. Look for me at micahmullen.com, more free art lessons, and on my DVDs. Thanks a lot.